So today we're going to start our series for grammar. And today I have a great lesson planned on how to identify what is wrong with your writing. So we're going to take a look at the slideshow, and she explains some problems that can happen in our sentences. So it'll be a great worksheet. Hello everyone, welcome to class. All right, I just need to get my charger, 1 second. Okay, all right, so I'm going to post the link in class so we can follow along with what I'm talking about. And let me know if you have any problems getting to the website. Okay, so is everyone able to access the website?
What did you put it in airplane or in the chat?
In group chat. And so I'll post it again just in case.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, awesome. So you should see this page, and I'll go to screen share. Okay, that's not working. Well, my screen share is not working. So you should see identifying incorrect sentences. And then at the bottom, you'll see a blue dot, and it'll say next, and it will go on to the next page. And it says identifying incorrect sentences, and you should see a little man. So I'll see if it'll work now. Here we go. All right. So this is where we're going to start. And it says one of your first steps in editing is to identify your errors, and that's not always an easy task, right? And so if we keep clicking on the blue dot, we get more information to pop up, okay? And she tells us 3 tips for identifying 3 common errors, which are sentence fragments, so incomplete sentences, run-on sentences, which are sentences that should have a period in them, but maybe we add a comma or we use and we continue the sentence, and then comma splices. So once again, using a comma in an incorrect area. So if we continue, we move on to this page. Okay, and so she tells us identifying what is and is not correct can sometimes seem confusing because there are so many possibilities. And that's true. When we look at some incorrect sentences, we'll see that there are many possibilities to make them better. All right. All right. So would anyone like to read this part, this new section?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, first of all.
Hello.
Identify what is and is not correct sentence can sometimes seem confusing. Okay, there's some cues from Raul, I think.
Yep, 1 second. Okay, you should be okay.
Okay. Identify what is and and is not correct sentence can sometimes seem confusing because there are so many possibilities. After all, a sentence can be a single word or dozens of words. So how can we tell if a particular group of words is complete sentence? It all comes down to their basic elements that any sentence, no matter how long or how short, must have. Uh, the, the, the three as an actor, an action, the ability to stand alone.
Okay, so we're going to see what those 3 A's are. So if we can continue, does anyone want to read what actor is?
Yeah, I want.
Okay.
Sometimes known as the subject. The actor is the doer of the action. Consider the following sentence. Jill smiled. Action. Sometimes known as the subject.
Ooh,
The actor.
stop there. Wait. All right, so the following sentence, Jill smiled. So this 2-word sentence has an action, smiled. Can anyone tell me why smiled is the action? So why
Because
is...
it's the verb.
Yep, exactly. So smiled is the action because it is the verb. And so why is she the actor? So why is Jill the actor in the sentence?
Because he is doing the action.
Yeah, so Jill is what we call our subject. Pardon? Can you repeat, Ragul? Okay, no? Okay, so yeah, you are correct. So Jill is the subject. Jill is the subject. She is doing the action. So in all sentences, we are going to have a similar structure. You probably know this, but you're going to have the subject usually followed by a verb. But the verb tense can depend, all right? So can anyone move on to action for us?
Yeah.
Often referred to as a verb.
Yeah.
These are the words.
Yep, so action,
Shall I
this
add?
page.
Often referred to as a verb. These are the words that show what is happening in a given sentence. Consider the following sentence.
Okay, so Jeremy laughed, and again...
The word laughed is the action in the sentence.
So the word laughed is the action in the sentence. And this is just an introductory lesson to grammar. So it's the same as Jill smiled, Jeremy laughed. So we have our subject followed by our verb. Okay? So just to review that, go back, that structure. And then they give us another example. Brian ran strong. So the word ran is the action in this sentence. Brian is the subject. What is strong? What do we consider strong?
I don't know the adjective. Strong.
Adjective.
Must be
Strong is a
adverb.
verb.
Must be adverb.
Yeah, so yep, it's an adverb. So the difference between adjectives and adverbs. So adverbs describe verbs. So in this sentence, Brian ran strong. Strong is describing ran. And then adjectives, an easy way to think of them, most adjectives end in ly. Okay, so what's an example? Friendly. Yeah, we can use strongly, friendly. So adjectives.
Successfully. Successfully.
Can you write that down? Successfully, yeah. So adjectives are going to end in ly, and they're going to describe our subject, all right? And moving on to ability to stand alone. Okay? Right. I don't like that we have to click so many times, but we should see this page. Is everyone here? Okay. And do I have a volunteer to read this page for us? At all? What about Diego? I think you're new to class. Would you be willing to read this page for us? Ability to stand alone. Okay. So your mic isn't working. So yes, Christoph, was that you?
Yes.
Yep, you may read.
Ability to stand alone. This is the tricky part. In addition to having action and an actor, to be someone, excuse me, but it's a little float. I will see it on my...
Oh, sorry, 1 second. Can you see it on
okay. This is the tricky part. In addition to having action and an actor, to be a sentence, a group of words must have the ability to stand as a complete thought. In other words, it should make sense all by itself. For example, consider the following group of words. Fran took out the garbage. You could turn the person next to you and say, Frank took out the garbage. The person sitting next to you would turn you and say, oh, thanks for sharing. What you've shared with the person sitting next to you is a complete sentence. A simple, complete sentence is sometimes referred to as an independent clause. It is called independent because it expresses a complete thought all by itself.
Okay. So what they're saying here is that a complete sentence in grammar is called an independent clause. All right? And what that means, as they said on the slide, is that all right. Okay, so that is a complete thought. So can anyone maybe give an example using Fran took out the garbage? That would not be a complete sentence. So making it a fragment. So could we give an example using Fran took out the garbage and make it a fragment? So make it a sentence that is not complete. If we take out the verb, Fran out the garbage, it's not complete. Okay, where did the garbage go? So it went outside, but did she take it? Did she drag it? Did she eat it and bring it outside? Like, we don't know. So the idea that you need all parts of the sentence. You need the subject, the verb. Okay? All right. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right, so let's move on to the next page. Oh, do you? Okay. All right. So they actually give us an example of a fragment, which is great. Okay. So she tells us a sentence error occurs when one of the three A's is missing from a sentence. This is called a fragment, okay? And consider the following sentence error. Okay, and I'll go to screen share. Okay, so after Fran took out the garbage. Okay, so the action took is still there. So is the actor, Fran. So you could turn to the person sitting next to you and say, after Fran took out the garbage. However, after what? So the person sitting next to you would turn to you and say, what happened after Fran took out the garbage? So does everyone understand how that idea is not complete? After Fran took out the garbage, there's a ... afterwards, which we call an ellipses. Okay, great. All right. Okay, so we have some examples here. And can anyone tell me which one is the sentence fragment? Is it A, Jill smiled, B, Jeremy walked to school, C, if you forget to shovel the driveway, or D, I froze?
The last one, I froze. I think we should.
Okay, so we have one for D. Sammy says C. What about anyone else in class? What about Youssef or Ragul? And Diego?
C. Mary forget to.
Yeah.
The C.
Okay. So why is that a fragment? Oop, let's go back. Okay. So she's going to tell us why it is a fragment. Would anyone like to read this blue section for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Unmute.
Can you learn this now?
I think he was muted by someone else.
Yeah.
Good
I
work.
tried to unmute him. Are you back now?
Yeah.
Okay, can you read for us? That'd be great.
Good work. This sentence cannot stand alone because the writer doesn't know what will happen if Maria forgets to shovel the driveway. It is not a complete thought. So it is missing the third A. It cannot stand alone. It can't
Okay.
stand alone.
Exactly. So in the sentence, if Maria forgets to shovel the driveway. So if Maria forgets, that's okay, right? But to shovel is to pick up with a shovel. It's an object we use to pick up dirt or snow, maybe sometimes ice. So if she's picking up, we call it to shovel the driveway, so the piece of road that leads to her house. And it's not complete because adding if is like adding, if Maria forgets to shovel the driveway, there has to be something else, because if implies that you're going to tell us what something bad will happen or something good that will happen in this sentence. So if Maria forgets to shovel the driveway, so can we make that a complete thought, a complete sentence? So if Maria forgets to shovel the driveway, what will happen? Can anyone add something to this sentence?
An accident will be happened.
Okay, so maybe an accident
Yeah.
An accident will happen. Yeah, exactly. We could put anything there. If Maria forgets to shovel the driveway, she can't get to her house. Something along those lines. So we need to know what the problem is. All right, so moving on to the next page. And this time we're going to talk about run-ons. And this may be hard to see. It sometimes happens in my own writing. Because when we write, sometimes we tend to just write as we think and not punctuate. So we're going to see some common errors with run-ons. Do I have a volunteer to read the page at all?
Yes.
Great.
Okay. Another type of error occurs when two complete thoughts run together without enough punctuation to show where one complete thought ends and another begins. Consider the following error. I drove to the store but walked to the bank. In the above passage, you will find two actors, I and Pat. Two actions, drove and walked. Having two actors and two actions, however, doesn't automatically mean you have a run-on sentence. To see if you have a run-on sentence, look to see if there is a place where you could divide the passage into two complete thoughts without editing, rearranging, or removing any words. If you can, you have a run-on sentence. In the above example, you could divide the passage into the following. I drove to the store, but walked to the bank.
Okay. So they give us a correction. Are there some other ways that we can change that run-on sentence to work as one sentence instead of dividing it into two short sentences? Does anyone have an idea of a word that we could add right here in the middle where my cursor is pointing?
We
Yeah,
can say I
so we could
drive to the store and pay to walk to the bank.
exactly. So we can use and. What about another word?
But
No, we can't.
Maybe then.
We could
So,
use but if I drove to the store, but Pat walked. So implying Pat walked to the store instead. So we would have to change a lot of the sentence. But it could work, and that's if Pat was also going to the store as well. What about a word that begins with W?
what?
While.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, exactly. So I drove to the store while Pat walked to the bank. So the idea that the two actions are happening at the same time. And yeah, Sammy, we can also use I drove to the store and Pat also walked to the bank. So we would have to combine the sentence with and then also after Pat. Because in English, it's also not a great idea to start a sentence with this word. So it can work sometimes, but try not to start a sentence with this word. It's better used in the middle, but awesome suggestion. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on to comma splicing. And a lot of times, people in English use commas. So a comma is this instead of a period. And we'll see what happens when we do this. All right. Too far. Sorry, guys. Okay, so what about Asama? Does your mic work? Would you be willing to read for us?
okay. An error called the comma splice occurs when two complete thoughts run together with only a comma to show where they met. Consider the following sentence. I drove to the store, paid, walked to the bank. With only a comma to divide these two complete thoughts, the reader may have difficulty knowing where one complete thought ends and another begins. That's why it's important to avoid comma splice.
Exactly. So just to review, so what we don't want to do is to add a comma. So don't add a comma instead of a period. I personally hate sentences that are very short when I read an essay. So I drove to the store, period. Pat walked to the bank, period. I prefer to see people try and make an effort to elongate, so to make their sentences longer and flow. In everyday speech, that's fine, but in your writing, try to make your writing flow a little better. For this example, I would use I drove to the store while Pat walked to the bank as an example. So it's longer, it's two complete thoughts in one complete sentence. Because if we have short sentences all in a row, it sounds very, very choppy. And choppy means fragmented, so you'll have very short ideas. So choppy, and I can write that down for you guys. So it would be something like a choppy paragraph would look something like, I like bowling. It is fun. I always win. I have a high score. Or when I win, I have a high score. So you can see in this rhythm, it's like very short. I like bowling. It is fun. I always win. When I win, I have a high score. And so the last sentence is a little bit better. So when I win, I have a high score. So if you hear it, it's bup, 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 bup. And in English, that rhythm it's not the best to read. It's a little bit of a headache. So maybe we could work on this example a little bit to maybe what I wrote in chat, the I like bowling, it is fun, to maybe make it sound a little better, so to make it flow more. Does anyone have ideas? Either using just one or two words to join the sentences together. And I see someone's typing text. Awesome. All right. So we could say, I like bowling because it is fun. I always win, and when I do, I have a high score. So do we see how that paragraph, just by combining a few of the sentences, the rhythm is a little different? Would anyone like to read the first example I gave and then try the second example at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I read the sentence. Do you say?
Yep. So you should see it in the side of chat, and it's the short sentences. So I like bowling.
I like bowling because it's fun, and I always win. And when I do, I have a high score.
Yep. Sorry about that. I forgot the is. It is. I was typing quickly. And so would anyone be willing to read the first one, the short one, to see how the rhythm is different? No? What about?
Sorry, I don't understand you. Can you repeat? the sentence.
Yeah. So you did a great job reading the second example I wrote in chat. Can you read the first one I posted? And I'll post.
I have a question about that last example. Like, when I do, isn't it better if we say like when I do, I get a high score, or is it totally the same?
So instead of using have, using get.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a difference with British English, if they would say I get a high score, but a similar example I can use for you guys. Let me just is in British English they say have you got a pen. So in American English, saying have you got a pen is not heard as often. It sounds a little improper in our everyday speech. Even though it is grammatically correct, it is British English and we do not use it. So in American, we use the verb have more than got or get. So we would say, do you have a pen? Yeah, and so we use get in everyday speech. But when we are writing, we use have. So get and got, we do use more in everyday speech. But in this sentence, for us in American English, I'll rewrite it. So I always win, and when I do, I get a high score. Okay, so if we wrote it that way, and if we say it that way, for me, it's implying that the action has already happened, that it's not repeating. So using have instead of get means last month when I bowled, so when I went bowling, I won. I had a high score. Today, when I went bowling, I won and I had a high score. Next year, when I go bowling, I will win with my high score. So having get is more of a complete action for us in American English.
Okay,
With
it's
this
like
sentence.
yeah, it's like when we use it with when, like I say, when I eat too much, I get stomachache, or I say when
Yeah.
I eat too much, I have stomachache. So which one it's right?
So get in that sentence, when I eat too much, I get a stomachache. It's the idea that you receive a stomachache from too much food. When I eat too much, I have a stomachache is the effect. So it's a similar idea, but we would say in English, in everyday speech, I get a stomachache, but when you write your paper, never use get or got. It's improper. So
Okay.
we always use have or had, has. Get and got is very what we call colloquial, so we use it speaking to one another, but in academic English, it's not a good thing to have in your papers. So yeah, but you can definitely say it. That's the distinction to have, and it will make sense, and we do understand it, and we use it all the time. So yeah. Anyone else have a question or maybe not understand the difference between the two?
I think it's clear.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So yeah, just to repeat, get and got, more for speaking, have, had, has, more for writing. Okay. All right. All right, so if I'm going to go back to screen share. Right. But great question, thank you. So she gives us like a game to play. So after I go to the gym, this is an example of what? A comma splice, a fragment, a run-on, a correct sentence.
Fragment.
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 Exactly. All right. So would anyone like to read the blue? Or maybe just tell us, maybe explain instead of reading. So I think I heard Hazem maybe first.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why it is a fragment?
Because it's not the meaning of this sentence is not complete. We need to how I can explain it. You must after I go to the gym, I have the breakfast.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to complete the thought.
Yes. Yeah.
So the sentence has the 2 out of the 3 A's. It has our actor, the action, so it has the subject, the verb, but it's missing, and I'm capitalizing it, alone. So it cannot stand alone because the idea is not complete. Great job. All right, so what about this sentence? Jill rocked the baby, Jim bought the diapers. Comma splice?
Is the A.
Comma.
Comma splice.
Exactly. All right. So why is it a comma splice? The answer is up here, but just to get some practice speaking.
Okay.
So why is...
Can I try?
Yes.
Because there are 2 sentences and there are different sentences, so so you can join these 2 sentences into one.
Okay.
Or read
All right.
it, so the reading is more fluently.
Okay, and so how would you fix this problem? You said either conjoining or separating the sentences. What would you do to fix this sentence?
Well, I join the
Okay.
Jill rocked the baby and while Jim bought the apples, for example.
Yeah, you can use and while in this example, so that's great. Good job.
Okay.
Or we can separate them by period, I guess.
Yeah, and we can also separate them by a period. And that is also grammatically correct. Can you tell us what might happen if we separate it with a period if we have a large paragraph? What will happen to the flow of the paragraph as well? So it's okay if we have a few sentences here and there that are short, but what word did I use to describe short sentences? What happens to their rhythm? So you're absolutely correct. Grammatically, we make them 2 sentences, but if we have them in a large paragraph, the rhythm becomes choppy. So to work on the flow, if we have these sentences within a larger scheme of sentences, so within a bigger idea, we want to do what Diego did, which is combine them. So the flow, the rhythm of the paragraph is easier. All right. So what about this example? Anyone want to try? Read it out loud for us. I see we have a new member to class. Welcome. So Youssef, would you like to give this one a try?
Okay, why not? I thought it's blurry. Okay, I bought 3 cake mix because I enjoy making cakes.
So what do you think it is? Is it a correct sentence, a run-on, fragment, a comma
Maybe
splice?
it's
Run.
grammatically it's correct, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a correct sentence. Yeah, it's a little weird. How would you change it to have it make more sense? I also do not enjoy this sentence that
Yeah.
much.
Three. Okay.
So
Three.
we could switch the order. So I enjoy making cakes. So I bought 3 cake mixes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have this where you are, but in the US we have packages and all you add is egg and water and oil and you have an entire cake after 15 minutes.
So, teacher, you wrote, I enjoy make cake.
Oops,
No.
sorry, making. Yep, so I enjoy making cakes. So I bought 3 cake mixes. So I think that sentence works a little better. Yeah, Youssef. This one's a little...
Yeah, no, it's make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just I bought 3 cake mixes because I enjoy making cakes. It should be the opposite. All right.
I guess.
Excuse me, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Excuse me, do you hear me?
Yep, I hear you. Your connection is a little
Okay, thank you.
delayed.
As you, I see you now. I can't.
We can no longer hear you. Okay. So your connection's a little poor, so you're delayed and it breaks up. I hope that helps. So we're almost at the end of class, and I'm going to answer Sammy's question because his mic does not work. And then we'll open up class to questions that you have about grammar and English in general. So Laura, is it right to say that because I like cakes? So another rule in English, well, because we do not start sentences with the word because. Because is one of those words that has to be in the center of a sentence. So it's one of those words. We call it a conjunction. And it's like and or so or but. And it combines 2 thoughts. So it can combine a run-on sentence that we looked at. Okay. And it may help incomplete sentences. So we gave an example. If Maria, the incomplete sentence, one of them was, if Maria does not shovel her driveway. So because wouldn't work with that sentence, but it can work for incomplete sentences. No, I mean to continue.
Can you hear right now? Can you hear me right now?
Yep, I can. So it's much better.
Because
all right. So opening up class.
Works.
Sorry, Vincenzo, your connection's coming in and out, and you're disrupting class. So I'm going to ask you to not test it with us in class, but maybe to try and speak with someone on Verbling on a one-on-one session and work on your connection problems. All right. So does anyone have questions about grammar?
Laura?
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you repeat the meaning of choppy, please?
Yep, so choppy. They're complete sentences, but in a paragraph, and I'm going to write this down. So in a paragraph, the rhythm will be short and harsh. So the example, I like bowling. It is fun.
Do you like?
Okay.
No, it was the first thing that popped into my head. So just the idea that you have a lot of short sentences together means it's choppy.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Means of choppy. What is it? What is it?
Like discontinuous, right? Or maybe broken sentences or discontinuous sentences.
Yeah. And you also have to be careful because sometimes short sentences may be fragments. And so...
Maybe?
Okay, sorry, Vincenzo. I'm going to mute you again. Please don't interrupt. Because I lose my train of thought. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, go on. Excuse me. Microphone is...
Okay.
Doesn't work. Now it's working.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that, Vincenzo. But class is not a time to work on connectivity. So I hope you work it out and you can join class with us next time. But please follow along and maybe you'll learn some answers to our grammar questions. What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought.
I get lost too.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
About
choppy sentences.
yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes professors or teachers may look at the short sentences and consider them fragmented, even if they are complete sentences, because you may not explain your idea wholly. And so it's better to try and usually to have longer sentences and not to keep short sentences, because the rhythm in English, when you hear me speak, it's not bup, 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 bup. It has a different rhythm. So if that helps a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then I was also talking about because, so we do not use because in the beginning of a sentence. We have to use it as a conjunction to combine two sentences, two ideas. All right, and any other questions?
Yeah, what is the different, speaking of because, what is the difference between because and cause? Because I see this cause a lot.
Okay.
The same.
Cause, cause, when we say it cause, so when we're pronouncing it like C-U-Z, it's shortened for because, and that's when we speak. So that's speaking. But then when we have C-A-U-S-E, in magazines and books, it means source, origin.
Can we use this
Effect.
cause as well sometimes? I don't know. We can't see this cause.
So we can use cause.
Yeah.
Or causes.
Yeah.
So one of the main causes of airborne illness, airborne illnesses, is that people do not cover their cough. Okay, so one of the main causes of airborne illnesses is that people do not cover their cough. So one of the main effects of airborne illnesses is that people do not cover their cough. So the idea that when you are sick, like me right now, and you cough like this, you're spreading germs instead of coughing into your elbow. So one of the main causes of spreading disease is not covering your cough. So causes, effect, origin, basis. So you can use it as a starting point. Okay, so some synonyms: starting point, base. Okay, does that help as well? Yeah, and so the difference then, Sammy gave a great example. I like the car because it's very beautiful. So that's using because, but in speech every day today, I would say, I like the car because it's very beautiful. But you would not write that. So is that idea clear?
Yeah, that's why I asked because I hear this in songs. They don't use because most of the songs lyrics they use cause.
Yeah. And so do you hear the difference between cause and cause?
No, I
Okay.
want, yeah.
Okay, so I'll repeat. So because.
Yes, we understand
Okay.
the difference
So
between
yeah.
because and cause. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
clear.
So do you hear the difference? So we have
Yeah,
because, cause,
yeah,
cause.
cause. Yeah, I want to ask about the last one, cause,
Okay.
but only.
Okay. And yeah.
Cause we used to use it or to hear it in the music and the speaking, not in writing.
So my question was, do you hear the difference when I say the words because, cause, and cause?
I
Do you
do,
hear
yeah.
that?
Yes,
Okay,
we do.
great, great. Okay, so that was my question. Awesome. Yeah, that can be confusing. Yeah, so I'm glad you guys asked that. All right.